What it is, focus your homeboy first. Back again with another episode of the realest, most entertaining sports show in the game. Put it on something. Make sure y'all watch all segments of this episode, okay? And put all your people on it. All right. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share. Okay. And like I said, put all your people on. But let's get straight into it, okay? Jack State University defeated Alabama A&M by a score of 45-30, okay? No scooters were left for Coach Maynard, okay? Uh, everything was just cordial. And we got up out of there with the dub, you feel me? But hold on, what's that you say? I ain't forget. I know why you're here. Y'all know what time it is. It's time to strike up the motherfucking band. Oh, I ain't gonna forget this. Let go. I want whoever is putting out these band rankings arrested. Arrest them. Don't try them in the same court with Trump, okay? Because how in the hell y'all ain't got the bone number one? But I digress. We'll talk more about that later on in the season, okay? But let's get on to it. All right. Y'all ready for the realest rundown? Let's get to it. All right. In the first quarter, all right, we started off the game by getting a pick. All right. Former Jack State quarterback Quincy Casey, okay, was the starting quarterback for Alabama A&M. And he was shaky. He was shaky. He looked kind of anxious in this game, okay? And he ended up getting benched. We'll talk about that later, okay? But first drive, we got a pick. Casey threw it behind the receiver. It bounced off the helmet of one of our players, and then we high-pointed the ball off the ricochet, okay? So that was a great way to start the game for the Jackson State Tigers, okay? On our ensuing drive, we got a touchdown run by Ken Town's own Jacobian Morgan, okay? And that made it 7-0. Shout out to Jacobian. You know what I'm talking about? And if you didn't watch him when he came on to the show, make sure you go back and watch that, okay? But on this drive, Mr. Mulligan, he had him a chunk run. Y'all already know what I say. Give Mr. Mulligan the damn ball. I'm going to keep saying it. Good things happen when we do that, okay? We try to fade on the next play, though, instead of just giving the ball right back to Mr. Mulligan. I don't like that shit, okay? But as I said, at the end of the day, we brought in Jacobian after that, and he scored easy. That's a big-ass boy, okay? But he ain't even had the big boy nobody. Great blocking up front. Great fucking job, offensive line. Somebody cooked them boys some neck bones, some ham hocks, some fried pork chop. Get them boys some good soul food. Get them boys some black eyed peas and some corn, okay? And some collard greens. Get them some. They deserve it. Good job, young men, okay? But let's get back to the realest running. All right. On the next defensive stand, all right, we forced a punt. We did allow a 4th and 3 conversion on this drive, though, okay? And it looked like Maynard was about to go for another one on 4th but he ended up having Quincy Casey punt it, and it ended up being a touchback. Okay. On the next drive, there was a 38-yard touchdown run by Mr. Miller. Okay, that's Aubrey's little brother. Okay, shout out to the Miller family. That made it 14-0. Okay. Now we tried to hit Rico down the field on this drive, but it was the run that really did it on this drive. Okay. JB picked up a third down on the ground after evading a sack. And Mr. Miller took advantage of great blocking for some great runs. Okay. Again, fix them boys a plate. One of these grandmamas out here cook for the offensive line of the Jackson State Tigers. Okay. But on the next drive for Alabama A&M, our defense forced a fumble. Okay. We chased down Casey, and he ended up just dropping the ball, really. Okay, trying to make a play. We missed the scoop and scored on, and I think that was Mr. Peppers. I'm not sure about that, though. We missed the scoop and scored on. We recovered it on the 1-yard line, okay? And that led to yet another touchdown by Kentown's own Jacobian Morgan, okay? Which made it 21-0. We basically ran the same play that we ran previously, and he went in untouched. Okay. On the next drive for Alabama A&M, Quincy Casey got benched. As I said previously, it kind of looked like he was anxious or something. I don't know. It might have been because he playing Jack State. I don't know. But the young man got benched, and our defense forced a punt. Okay. And Seven had a great punt return. Very impressive. Okay. And he was impressive today. So it's good to see that young man out there either fully healthy or nearing it. Okay. Now on our next drive, we were forced to punt. We ended up getting behind the sticks because of a sack. Then we tried to do a screen to Seven, which was bottled up. No, Mr. Riley got banged up on this drive, and I don't know if I saw him out there the rest of the game. Real ones, y'all let everybody know if y'all saw him out there or if you've seen any kind of report update on how that young king is doing. Okay. But that was the end of the first, basically, and we had over 100 yards rushing in the first quarter and only 3 passing yards. 100 yards rushing in the first quarter, 3 passing yards. Okay. And we were up 21-0. Why? Defense and running the goddamn ball. Old school. It could be out of the spread, okay? It could be no huddle. It could be tempo. All this new shit that motherfuckers want to do. But at the end of the day, if you can play some great defense, create turnovers, run the ball, limit your own turnovers, limit your penalties, God damn it, you're going to win. You're going to win big. Ain't shit changed with that. Okay? But I digress. Let's keep it moving. In the second quarter, there was a touchdown run by Mr. Langford of Alabama A&M. Now, he was the guy who came in for Quincy Casey. And we made this motherfucker look good. Either he is good or we made him look good. Okay? There may be a QB controversy over that Alabama A&M because of Mr. Langford's performance going forward, okay? Because he ended up playing pretty solidly. All right, but that made it 21-7, and I can't cap. This was a solid drive led by this young man. He seemed confident on the drive, and again, you contrast that with how Mr. Casey looked, okay? On our ensuing drive, we were forced to punt. Passing game, was struggling mightily at that point. On the next drive by Alabama A&M, we got an interception by Mr. B.J. Washington, okay? So Madison Central, stand up, okay? Flora, stand up, okay? Mr. Langford tried to hit a route. Mr. Langford again for Alabama A&M. He tried to hit somebody down the sideline, but Mr. Washington closed greatly. And again, he high pointed the ball. It seemed like there's something that our coaches have probably been preaching and really making the guys focus on in practice, going up and high pointing that ball, basketball style, not letting that motherfucker come down, to my. So shout out to the coach staff. All right. On our ensuing drive, though, we were forced to punt. It seems like they adjusted a little bit to try to bottle up the run and tried to force us to make some plays in the passing game. And the drive ended up stalling because of a holding penalty on 3rd and long. Okay. On Alabama A&M's next drive, the defense forced a punt, which gave us good field position, and we did something with it. All right. On our next drive, we ended up getting a touchdown pass by JB that made it 28-7. He rolled left and threw a bomb to Mr. McCray, who was butt the fuck ass naked. Okay. Like I said, it seemed like they were trying to bottle up the run. We had to make a play in the passing game, and we did. Okay. Note though, JB also made a great run on this drive for a first down. Okay. So I've said something about JB and his knee brace and that I might be able to outrun the brother, you know what I'm talking about. But JB is inspiring me. He's showing that a motherfucker like me can still get out here and run that thing a little bit. Okay. So shout out to the young blood. Okay. On Alabama A&M's next drive, though, our defense forced a punt. And again, that man, Mr. BJ Washington, had a great pass breakup on this. Okay. Great pass breakup. And we end up getting great field position again, near around the 50-yard line, okay, with about, I would say, maybe a minute and 15 seconds left or something like that. And we took advantage of it, okay, and we end up getting a touchdown pass to 7, okay, and that made it 35-7, okay. Great play design on this, okay. Great play design. I know we get on the OC a lot, okay, and that's football. OCs and DCs, they catch hell, okay. But the King has some great play design on this motherfucker. A lot of motion, pre-play. I seem like the guys were disciplined with it. A lot of time when you have so much motion, you end up with some kind of legal procedure or false start or some kind of shit like that. But no, things went well. We were initially stalled on the drive, but an A&M player got ejected. Now, I really didn't see what he did. If you were at the game and you saw it, let us know what happened for real, for real. But whatever the case was, this allowed us to score afterwards. Okay. And that led us into halftime being up 35-7. Now, ESPN Plus acted like they had a little sense and they showed quite a bit of both bands playing. Okay. Well, again, acting like they got some sense. You don't need no halftime crew to come talk and all that kind of shit when you got two HBCUs playing. God damn it, just shut the fuck up and let the bands play. And that's what they did. Okay. I was able to catch I recognized two of the records that the Boom was playing. One of them that the J sets were dancing to. I couldn't remember the name. Okay. But I asked Twitter and some of the real ones let me know what that was. Okay. And that was The Glamorous Life. Okay. That's a dope ass record, okay? And they played it beautifully. You feel me? And another record that I think this is what they were playing, okay? Because I love this song too. I think they played "I'd Rather Be With You," okay? I'd rather be with you, girl. You know that shit. That's some gangster shit. That's some old school gangster shit. I got a playlist on Tidal. That's my music streaming app that I got. I got a playlist called Old School Gangster Music. Okay. A song can't make the playlist if it's not from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s. And if I can't imagine a motherfucker from that time that's on some street shit, to my riding around and doing they thing, to this music. And I'd rather be with you was on that. Goddamn. That's some old school gangster shit right there. And the Boom, if I'm not mistaken, that they played that as well. Okay. How in the hell are they not number one? Stop it. Stop it. Okay. But shout out to Alabama A&M's band as well, the maroon and white. I recognize that they played Poison. Okay. And all HBCU bands are shit. Okay. I just feel like mine is the best. I feel that way. Yes, I'm biased, but the proof is in the pudding. But let's get on. Let's keep it moving with the realest rundown. All right. In the third quarter, we got a 38-yard field goal by Mr. Watson. Okay. That made it 38-7. I appreciate you, Young King. We've been going through some shit with the kicking situation. You know what I'm talking about? And shout out to the young queen, Miss our mentor again, you know what I'm talking about, for holding us down, making history a couple weeks ago, despite what all these fuck boys and brawls was saying, you know what I'm talking about. Still shout out to the young queen, you know what I'm talking about. But Mr. Watson, yeah, we appreciate you, King. He came in there and hit a 38-yard. All right. And a lot of shit happened on this drive, okay? Maynard tried an onside kick coming out of the half, good strategy. Try to ignite your team, try to catch us off guard. Okay, coach, I see you. All right. We end up getting a PI, and that kept the drive going for us. Okay. We got a good conversion on 3rd and long to 7, but it was called back because of a hole. JB ended up taking a pretty nice shot on a scramble on 3rd and forever in a day. Okay, so a lot of shit transpired on this drive, but we still end up finishing it with a 38-yard field goal. I think it was 30. It might have been 40, something like that. Okay, but we got it done. All right. On Alabama A&M's next drive, though, they scored on a touchdown pass by Mr. Langford that made it 38-14. All right, solid drive by them. Langford made some solid plays, including eluding a sack earlier in the drive. He checked down and the young man got a first. To my like, yeah, they might have QB controversy over there. Yeah, it might be an interesting week on social media. Okay, in the discussion with the Alabama A&M and their quarterback situation. We'll monitor that and see what's happening. To my on our next drive though, we were forced to punt. Kobe Paul, that boy gonna ball. He almost made a great catch on the sideline, but we end up punting. The punt may have been tipped. Okay, I couldn't really tell on that. Okay, but on that next drive, touchdown run by Mr. Langford that made it 38-22. They took advantage of the great field position that we gave them. It was an easy drive for them. They scored on the 2-point conversion, and like the momentum had completely shifted to them. Okay, you could tell that they were getting some energy about them for real. Okay, and so that brought us to the fourth quarter. Them football players, they always throwing up them foes. I wonder who originated that, throwing up them foes at the beginning of the fourth quarter in football. One of y'all OGs out there know, let me know. All right, but in the fourth quarter, we were forced to punt. Offense stalling, A&M feeling energized. Luckily though, we forced to punt when they got the ball. The drive was stalled by an intentional grounding. There was big pressure by one of our young kings on the defensive line. Okay, so that was big for us to try to, halt their momentum. Okay, and we had a big return by 7. Okay, so that was a big play right there for whoever that young king was that got in that backfield and forced that intentional grounding. So shout out to him. Okay, we end up scoring on the next drive. Okay, touchdown pass to 7. It was a 40, and that made it 45-22. Excuse me. We ran a play action fake to Mr. Mulligan, and 7 was 1-on-1 out there, and he won. Okay. Again, he had a great game today. Great game. All right. But Alabama A&M wasn't done. Okay, they still came back and scored on a touchdown pass by Mr. Langford, and they got the 2-point conversion. That made it 45-30. As I put in my notes, he's having a day on us. Okay. It was kind of like, y'all, we were fully prepared for Quincy Casey, and that what Langford was good at, kind of caught us off guard, which is understandable. You know what I'm talking about? You don't go into a game expecting your opponent's starting quarterback to get benched. You know what I'm saying? So But you may argue that, since we were coming off a bye week, maybe you prepare for all situations and have a contingency. Whatever the case was, Mr. Langford made some plays for them. Okay, but that was pretty much it for the scoring. We were forced to punt on our next drive. A horrible punt. We still going through some things in the kicking game with that. I Mana had faked the onside and kicked it deep to start the drive. Okay. Uh Caught us off guard with that. Okay. I know some online was saying we should have been prepared for that. We did get something going with deep ball on this drive, but drive ended up stalling. Uh we ended up getting a pick though. When they got the ball, we ended up getting a pick by Mr. Hazel. Shout out to Mr. Hazel. We had great pressure up front again that forced a bad throw by Mr. Langford. But again, that defensive line, y'all came through, dog. You did your fucking thing. Good job. Good shit. Good shit again when y'all got manhandled by Texas State. I was highly critical, but against Bethune, you did your goddamn job, and against Alabama A&M, you did your goddamn job. Okay, so look, hey, can we say that then? We're gonna get the offensive line, some fried pork chop, and some black eyed peas and collard greens. We're gonna do the goddamn same for the defensive line. Okay, one of y'all grandmama tigers out there, make that happen. Okay, but we end up being forced to punt when we got it. Mr. Watson, he punted it this time. So we might be able to let this young blood do a little bit of everything for us in the kicking game, okay? Might have found something. All right. But they end up turning it over on downs, and that was pretty much it. But this was a wild drive, though. It looked like they scored on a run by Mr. Langford, and then that was taken back because of a hole. Then it looked like we got a pick, but they called some phantom shit I didn't see from my vantage point that they were showing on ESPN Plus. I didn't see where we interfered with shit, but somehow we got called for, but they ended up turning the ball over on downs, and we just took a knee. And that was it. Okay. So the final statistics read a little bit like this. Okay. JB finished 14 to 26 for 202 yards and 3 touchdowns. And this is based off the statistics on ESPN. So if it's wrong, charge it to them. Okay. Charge it to the worldwide leader in sports. Okay. Don't charge it to first. All right. In terms of the rushing game, that man, Mr. Mulligan, 23 carries for $115, 5 yards a clip. Okay. I mean, what you want me to do? What you want me to say? Give Mr. Mulligan the ball. That's what we got to do. Okay. Mr. Miller, like I said, Ahmad Miller, he came to the party as well. 7 carries, 57 yards, 8.1 a clip. Okay. Including a long of 38 yards. Oh, and Mr. Mulligan's long of 24. Mr. Miller got the touchdown. Okay. Y'all know, as I mentioned previously, Cantown's own Jacobian Morgan, he got 2 touchdowns in this. JB had 29 yards rushing too, y'all. Okay, on 10 carries. In terms of receiving, Mr. McCray led us in yards with 82 yards in the tub, 47 yarder. As that's the one I told you about. He was butt ass naked. Duke Miller had 3 catches for 48 yards. DJ Stevens had 2 catches for 29 yards. I want to see that get up. I want to see DJ catch about 5 balls a game or something. We got to get him more involved. All right, Seven McGee had 2 catches for 20 yards, 2 tubs. Don't forget about Seven's contributions in the return game as well, though. He did a great job with that. All right. Mr. Powers had 4 catches for 17 yards, and Mr. Sharp had 1 catch for 6 yards. Okay. Again, for the defense, that was Mr. Devontae Davis is credited with recovering that fumble that I spoke of. In terms of the INTs, I mentioned Mr. Hazel. That's Mr. Callaghan had one of those picks, and I mentioned Mr. Washington. For Alabama A&M, Mr. Langford finished 21 of 36 for 265 yards and 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. Okay. All right. So do y'all think that's going to be enough to cause a little controversy over there between him and Quincy Casey? All right. Is Coach Mano going to have to make a decision? Let me know what y'all think about that. All right. Their standout on the ground was Mr. Eaglin. He ran for 53 yards on 10 carries. All right. And their standout through the air was Mr. Young. Okay. He had 8 catches for 110 yards in the tub on us. Okay. So even in the air, that young man might be feeling good about himself for his performance against us. Okay. But that's the realest rundown, y'all. Another victory for us. Okay. Now it's on to homecoming. Hope to see y'all there. I got to get my ass there early to beat this traffic. Put it on something.
Please subscribe to my daddy's YouTube channel because the more subscribers he gets, the more attractive he looks to sponsors. The more attractive he looks to sponsors, the more money he can make. And the more money he can make, the more money he can spend on me.